Tonight's meeting is our regularly scheduled City Commission meeting. It's Monday, November 13th at 2017. It is now 7:02 p.m. If everybody would please rise and join us in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. It's time for the invocation. Do we have someone? Oh. Can you make sure you introduce yourself and where your church is? Thanks.
Sure. Excuse my sore throat, but I'm Len Bailey. I'm the pastor of the Church of the Nazarene on Front Street, and I have an announcement I want to share with you. I might not look it, that's what they tell me, but I'm going to be retiring the 1st of January. And just wanted to say thank you very much for allowing me the privilege of being able to pray for you on these occasions. And I'm going to be moving to South Bend, so I won't be too far away. But I love Buchanan. It's been a great place to live. I've served here for 31 years and have thoroughly enjoyed it. So let's pray together. Sure. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for your goodness to us and allowing us privileges beyond our merit. We ask that you'd be with us tonight and be with the City Commission and Mayor and all the leaders of and City Manager and everybody that's involved in working toward the good of this city. Bless them and guide them and give them wisdom to continue on in their good work. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. And thank you for your many years of service to our community. We really appreciate it. All right, we're on item number 4, public comments. Citizens are allowed.
Your Honor.
I'm sorry, roll call. I skipped right over it. Putting the pedal to the metal. Sorry, Gladys.
That's okay. Cole? Here. Hess?
Here?
Moore? Here. Turney?
Here.
Bianski?
Yes.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. Now we're up to item number 4, public comments. Citizens are allowed up to 3 minutes to discuss any agenda item. When you approach the microphone, make sure that you say your name clearly as well as your address. Thank you.
Cindy Benson, 212 Cecil Street, Buchanan. I thought there was supposed to be a discussion about the Planning Commission's changes prior to this tonight. The changes that you were going to make prior to the regular meeting. Was that, am I in error?
That's item 7.
Okay, I want to discuss that. I would like you to consider removing Article 11, the C3 Central Business District. I would like you to not have any businesses allowed in the Central Business District. Please consider not to have them there at all. We have a plethora of places elsewhere. Uptown, over there, the Skyway, and out on Post Road. We don't need to have them down in the downtown area. So thank you very much for considering and listening to that. And I think that was it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Norma?
Norma Ferris, 304 North Oak. Several things are new to me. Would you please explain them when you talk about them?
What? Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Several things on the agenda
Okay.
are new to me.
Okay.
Would you explain them?
As we get through them? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we will. Thank you. Okay, yes. Yeah, oh, go right up to the microphone. We need you on the record. Thank you.
Randall Pitt, 312 West Chicago. This may be a redundant question, but I would hope that somebody would explain the two rather unusual expenses on the agenda. The one for the exchange of damaged picnic table for $1,046, and then the one for $3,000 each for two copy machines in City Hall. Make the total of $7,600. Can anybody say that you will explain them a bit more?
The amount on the consent calendar we won't be covering, but I can tell you that a young man in town damaged a handicap accessible picnic table. And what happened was he damaged it to the point where it couldn't be fixed, and his parent bought a new one and gave it to the city, and we let her take the old damaged one. So there's a new picnic table in its place, and we allowed the mother to take the damaged picnic table. We're not sure what she was going to do with it because it was pretty much ruined. But the part about the copy machines we will get to on new business, it looks like
Item
D.
C.
Okay, thank you.
Item C.
C.
C. Okay, thank you.
Still didn't understand the 1,060.
The 1,046 for the picnic table, it was a very nice, the handicap picnic table is very expensive. They're made out of wood, and it's, or not wood, they're made out of metal, and there's, extra space for a wheelchair, okay?
Did you want to
Yeah.
let them know that was per the court?
Yeah, and that was per the court, that he was forced to pay for that picnic table as part of his punishment.
Restitution.
Restitution, yes. Okay, anyone else? Go right ahead, Bill.
William Haas, State Line Road, Niles, Michigan. I'm hearing that there's a petition going around by the community for pulling this whole ordinance. And I'll tell you, I was at the American Legion Saturday, and I don't remember seeing anybody's face in there that's in this room. Well, everybody that was in there fought for all your rights to be here pushing these petitions around. And everybody has their rights. But not only did I go to that veterans thing, I went down to Indiana, and I spoke with veterans down there. There's veterans that are dying 22 a day due to suicide. And this treats them. This treats PTSD. And how dare you try to stop any of these guys from getting their medications? We're not talking about putting pot shops into Buchanan. I've been up here and I've worked with everybody in this community trying to get this done. And I've been fair with everybody. And I stood up for when things weren't right. I'm very pro-cannabis, but I'm also pro this town. I do care. I have 4 sons, 2 stepdaughters, 2 grandsons. So I do care. I care very, very much what happens to the future of this town. But this is a good thing. This is a good thing for people. It's not opiates, okay? It's not destroying people's lives. Whether you think so or not, it's not destroying lives, it's helping them. I'm here today because of cannabis. I was put on hydrocodones. I couldn't even get out of bed to take care of my own kids, okay? I finally put a stop to that. I put a stop to it myself, was sicker than a dog. But I'm here today because I use cannabis and cannabis only. And it has a place. It has a place here. It does. This community needs it. Our vets need it. And the things that are gonna come, it's not what you guys are imagining. And if, God forbid, if it did end up being pot shops everywhere, this township has the right to do a review and pull this whole thing right out. With that, that's all I got.
Thank you, Bill. Okay. Penny, please go to the microphone. Is someone taking care of the 3 minutes?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Penny Slocum Correa, and I live at 111 Main Street. And I think we ought to clear this up. The petition is not against medical marijuana. It's against having it downtown in C3, our historical district. That's the only thing the petition is asking, to not include that in our historical downtown. You can have it out east, you can have it out west. That's what it is. And I don't want to hear again about this 22 veterans dying a day. I realize that's a statistic and it could be true, but it doesn't matter if they drive another block up the hill or another block the other way to get it. Making it in the historical district is not going to solve that problem. And I think we ought to think more about this instead of people gossiping and thinking it's this and that, and because that's what it is. They just don't want it in the historical district downtown around the kids, around the library, around the common area. Leave the other districts and let it be there. Let it be east and west of town. That's fine. Just not in the historical district is what we're asking. And I don't think that's much to ask, really, to just not have it right downtown. Oh, Dean, quit it. I'll be over there again in a minute, slap you. And the other thing is, I would like to know what's enticing our city council to even consider it, putting it downtown in our historical district. That bothers me. Because the business owners, most of them, don't want it down there. The citizens don't want it down there. And they're saying, okay, east and west, just not right downtown. So what's enticing you guys to even consider putting it in the historical district?
You want me to say something? Do you want me to say something?
Okay.
You know what?
Okay, we need a little ground rule. First of all, Penny, when you address, you have to address us, not the crowd. I know. Yeah, sorry.
sorry, I addressed
Yes,
Dean.
okay. And then you're only allowed to speak from the floor if you get the permission of the mayor, and I'm the mayor. You'll need to raise your hand, and you have everyone has 3 minutes at the microphone. But we need to conduct this meeting in a civil way. We are neighbors. We are friends. We are potential neighbors and potential friends, and we're all here out of a common love and decency and respect for our fellow Buchanan people and the people that want to do business here. So let's elevate our speech and do a better job. Thank you. Okay, you may continue. I'm sorry, I did not mean to take your 3 minutes.
You're okay. You're the mayor, you can do what you want.
Thank you.
And the other thing is, too, I have a problem with is we're constantly being told that we don't have enough time to do certain things in Buchanan already. So I would like to know why we are taking the time to do this downtown Buchanan if we can't take care of what we already have. Because we should be accountable for what we have first. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Dean?
Hi, I'm Dean Ulrich, and
Hi, Dean.
I have a business at 203 East Front Street, Dean Antiques. And I disagree with Penny 100% because there's a lot of us that do want the medical marijuana in the historical district, and it will save the historical district because the money will be spent preserving the buildings, and in 50 years from now or 100 years from now, the buildings will still be there and they'll be in good shape, and the medical marijuana will probably be gone. Who knows? But it's about the money. That's what it always is, and it's medical marijuana. It's not medical. It's not marijuana. People getting high and running around the streets, and the kids getting a hold of marijuana. That's not going to happen. And the ones that want marijuana now, the kids get a hold of it. I remember when I was a kid, kids got a hold of it. I didn't want to do it, but the other kids did. So it's always about the money, and I think it's a very good thing for downtown, and it will preserve the history of the buildings. And I hope that you embrace it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, did you want me to say something?
Yes, you may make a comment.
Penny, you asked a question why, at least, I can only speak for myself, okay? I'm in favor of at least one medical marijuana dispensary in the downtown area. And you asked for a reason? I went to a couple meetings with a couple of developers, and they had come up with a very good idea, and also a refurbishing of the downtown the building. And not only were they going to bring in some type of a dispensary, but they were also going to bring in a microbrewery and a restaurant. So I'm not in favor of having, 15, 22. I was looking at possibly one to see how it would affect the downtown area and limited to that one. After seeing the actual drawings and designs of the building, it brought some creativity to me because I don't see that coming down to our downtown area. At least down here. Uphill, that seems to be moving forward. So I can only give you why my thoughts were that way. I don't know if that helps you or not. Okay. You're welcome. Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Anyone else? Yes.
Hi, I'm Derek Sousley, 123 South Cayuga. It's inevitable that marijuana is coming to Michigan. I talked to Senator Upton's office this week, and his district rep said that probably in the next year there's going to be a recreational marijuana vote in the state of Michigan. But I think it's kind of been made clear by people's opinions in these meetings that the residents of Buchanan aren't really for it. So I'm wondering, my question is, I don't know if this is possible, and Mayor Hess, you and I had corresponded via email previously, and you shared a lot of information with me. Is it possible to put it to a vote to the residents, the tax-paying residents? I mean, there's a lot of people here who don't even live in this city, or who just maybe have a business and they still have skin in the game because they're a business owner. But for people like me who raising a family, I don't want it. I've made that clear, like a lot of people have. But is that an option?
There is currently a petition drive, so you can find out who's doing that. And it would have to be a referendum.
And then it would be put to a vote?
Yes.
Okay. How many signatures
Possibly.
does that require?
815.
Okay. So if we never get to that point, is there a way, if perchance say that this thing goes forward and the populace, the residents of Buchanan are against it, is there a way to have a recall on you all? Since
that's
it's
your
supposed to be a
constitutional
representative-
right. Yes,
right.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Because it is I mean, I'm not trying to be hateful, but it's
No.
it's a representative democracy, and if people don't want it, and it goes forth anyway.
Yes.
So there's a lot of talk also about buildings going vacant, and you and I had talked about in emails. There's different ways to fill empty buildings. There's tax incentives. Asheville, South Carolina has a program in place where several wealthy local residents, I don't know how many local residents we have in Buchanan, probably a couple, but they would give tax incentives to people who would come and start businesses in downtown, and they used it to fill the businesses and to revitalize. So that would be a great case study for you all to look into because it was very successful. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to reply to that.
Go right ahead.
You got to have money to do that. The city of Buchanan doesn't have any money. They haven't had any money since Buchanan left. The only way you can get money into town is if you allow money to come into town. And as far as, the majority of people downtown not wanting it, I would love to see it go to a referendum, but we've already been screwing around with this for 11 months. We spent 3 months down here trying to educate the public, but 13% of the general public only turns out to vote in a non-November vote. So I'm not really worried about a vote. I'm worried about the people with the money that want to invest in the city hanging around and waiting for a year for us to get off our duffs. Because it's happening in Canada and Israel, big time. Whether you all like it or not, it's happening.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes. We haven't heard from you. Come on up.
name is Jennifer Parsons. I live at 214 Cecil Street. Excuse me, I'm very nervous.
Take your time. We get nervous too, but address us, not the crowd, okay?
I don't share this with people because of the stigma, but I am a medical marijuana user. A few years ago, I became very ill. I was in the emergency room like every 6 to 8 weeks, often getting admitted. The doctors ran tests, and I had surgery, and they tried everything, but I still was getting extremely sick. And one of the leading Lakeland doctors, not some Saturday clinic, suggested to me to try to use medical marijuana. And I was amazed. Honestly, I did not think it would work as well as it did. However, I have an accessibility issue because I don't want to smoke it. I have asthma. I was a lifelong cigarette smoker. I've even quit that, which was not easy. But because I get so nauseous, coughing and gagging isn't helping on the smoke. I can't keep down nausea medicine. I can't keep down edibles that some people make. I need more of like the oils that a lot of people have seen used for like Parkinson's, where they rub it inside the cheek. That way it's absorbed quickly, it'll stop the nausea. I don't have access to that. That's in cities like Grand Rapids, Flint, hours away. I can't get there. And I want access to something that will help me without having to, sorry, I'm so nervous, I'm a hug.
No, take your time. That's
It's the
fine.
best option for me, and I want access to it. And I'm concerned, because of the stigma. People think, oh, it's all these people sitting around getting high all the time. I don't even want to get high. A dispensary will give me the option of having different levels of CBDs and THC and allow me to treat the nausea without feeling like a zombie. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. I think a lot of people just think about everybody sitting around getting high. And I'm coming forward to let people, I'm just a regular person. I'm a quiet homebody. And I use medical marijuana, and I want access to it. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Jennifer. Norma, we already heard from you. Hang on. I need. I'm not sure. I thought I heard it. Maybe it needs.
Can you
to-
hear me, Norma? All right.
All right. Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Jared Withers. I live at 419 Hill Street here in Buchanan. I'm definitely pro the situation in town as far as medical marijuana availability. I think it should be allowed wherever the business chooses to be. There's no issues with outside, inside, downtown, uptown. Should be no discrepancy, especially if somebody wants to purchase a building. Applause from me and everyone else in this town, I would say. That's all I really have. I think it's a positive thing for the city. I know we plan on going forward. Downtown sees us reasonable as anywhere else to me, so that's all I've got. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Hi, my name's John Wallace, 1002 North Redbud Trail. I started this whole marijuana thing for the whole city of Buchanan.
Thank you, John.
As you well know, thank you for saying thank you. Thank you guys for going through this whole mess. I used to be an opioid user as well. They kept pushing them to me, and they just kept pushing me higher and higher and higher. Marijuana took me off opioids. I'll never do an opioid again. I stopped taking opioids December of 12. Never to take another one. I will never do that. I welcome the idea to it. Come and try it downtown. I think you guys should try that downtown. I think it'll work. Have 5 dispensaries downtown? No way. Too many. Not enough. There's no room for the cars, no room for the people. It's not right. Don't do that to the people. Keep it up on the hill or wherever everybody else is doing it. Try one down there, sure. We need the medicine here, that's for sure. A lot of people need it. They really do.
Thank you.
Sincerely, thank you, John.
Yes.
Tom Palmaner, 305 Lake Street. I guess the things I've heard, they're talking about right across from the library. Well, all the people in this room, if you don't have a card, you're not going to be able to enter that building as far as I know. They could walk out of that library, children, and walk into a bar. That's not going to happen, and I can't imagine that the building would have a big sign flashing down there advertising what it's doing, but I don't understand why downtown businesses wouldn't want it down there. Because if you have a product or a service that people want, people are going to come there. It doesn't really matter anything else other than that. And if you've been aware at all in the last few years that this is something that people want. And I think it would be a plus.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, in the back.
I think she might need help over the microphone.
Hang on just a second. We'll help you with the microphone.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Deborah.
I did not plan to speak. My name is Brenda Scoggin, 103 Lake Street, so I apologize. First of all, I'd like to thank the council for doing the, taking the extra step, getting the information, and finding that cannabis really is medicine. They don't want it in the historical district, but I guess they don't understand marijuana was a medicine from 1875 until 1954. 18 children a day, I want to talk about children. 18 children a day will be diagnosed with cancer. 18 children, parents will hear that they die. Cannabis stops cancer in its tracks and can heal children. There are children diagnosed every day with cerebral palsy, autism. At the rate of autism, cannabis has shown very effectiveness for autism in children. We need this for our children. We need it in the town, in the city, and we need it years ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Okay. All right. Who was next? There was someone next to you, Brenda. Go ahead. Okay. Hang on a minute. Shh, you're done. Thank you. Okay.
Tom Wright, 802 Main Street, Junior, actually, Tom Wright Jr. Well, I work as a marijuana consultant. I go around the country and I help people, various people that hire me to find buildings, get approved, get licenses, things like that. I've done this from California to Colorado, now Michigan, and I'm actually working for my dad right now. He's got the building over there across from McDonald's. Question is, is downtown really that much of a difference from being across from McDonald's? I'm probably talking against our own best interest, but I don't really feel it is, unless you guys don't eat cheeseburgers, because you guys make it down the other way to McDonald's, and so do the children. So do everybody. This is a small enough town to where if you're downtown, uptown, east, west, I don't even know which way is east, west around here. But I don't see how much of a difference. I could jog through this whole town, minus the belly, and I can make it through probably in a fairly decent amount of time. The fact of the matter is, children are not going to be coming into these facilities. They're not allowed in these facilities. You got to be a registered card holder. There will be children that are registered card holders for extreme cases. Michigan's one of the states that are allowing that, and that's a good thing. Those extreme cases are people that have nonstop seizures. A few years back, we paid to move a family out to Colorado, back when they first started experimenting with children in this. this child up this neighbor grew up for my wife. Doctor told him if they didn't get out to Colorado, he had about 3 months to live. This was about 3.5 years ago. Kid's doing fine. He went from having a couple hundred seizures a week to 2. Now, I understand the argument to the downtown, but, you know, facts are facts. If there was money to be buying those buildings, fixing those buildings up, they'd be fixed right now. We wouldn't be having this conversation. There wouldn't even be a thought of anyone wanting to go downtown, because guess what? You'd have businesses already sustained with income, keeping them profitable, keeping them around. The amount of foot traffic that develops from one of these type of businesses, you have no idea. This is the best thing to ever happen to any of the businesses downtown. I could literally take the foot traffic you guys all accumulate together. This shop that'll go down there will beat you all. Promise. Guarantee it. Property values go up. It's an automatic thing. It happens. Happens in Washington, happened in Oregon, happened in California, happened in Colorado. It's happening here in Michigan. These are facts. You can Google them all. Please, I encourage you to. Don't let 1985 Ronald Reagan just say no be your facts, because that's just not how it is. You know, there's been enough, by now, there's been enough medical testing and enough stuff to prove that this is a good, viable option for many, many of people. Thank you, that's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mickey Frost, 744 Chippewa Street in town, and I'm representing Gene Westner Automotive tonight. Just a FYI that we are starting our 33rd year of the annual toy drive here in the community. We're shortened up a little bit this year with the way the holiday falls. Ram Love will be distributing on December 16th, so we actually lose about a week of toy collection from our establishment down to Ram Love. On that note, toys can be dropped off anytime from here on out. We don't have to wait till after Thanksgiving. And in the past, we've had several people that have come in at different times, not knowing what to purchase for the kids, not having an idea of what the boys and girls like, or especially the teenagers, as far as they're not really in the toy thing. So probably 5-6 years ago, we started accepting donations. In other words, they would say, would you mind if I would leave a check or cash and you go shop for us? That's been very beneficial. Over the past few years, I've been able to take that money throughout the year and utilize it to the best of stretching it out as far as I can. Kohl's does not like to see me come anymore. They want to shut the doors when they see me coming. But anyway, we've been very fortunate in the community over the past few years to have the amount of contributions made along with the physical donations. There's people that are out there all year long picking stuff up on good sale prices to drop off. So once again, I want to say thank you to anybody here that's donated in the past, to the city for putting the banner up, taking it down, and just a big thank you, because we do an awful lot to help our community. It stays here. It doesn't go elsewhere. A little bit towards Galeen, a little bit towards Niles, but everything that's donated here stays here in our town. Thank you.
Mickey, before you sit down, do you accept Kohl's gift cards if someone wanted to give a gift card?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, we've had a couple people in the past years that have utilized Redbud Hardware's rewards program, if anybody's aware of that.
Oh, yeah.
They've actually taken their cards and brought them over to us for me to then take back over there and, you know, get the sleds or the snowboards and that type of stuff. So, yes. I
And
mean,
then,
and for the older kids, any type of donation in that type of a aspect, along with, and I don't want to say just toys, With the money that we've gotten over the last few years, I try to spend as much of it in town as what I can. Limited to some degree, but McDonald's, Pizza Hut, gift cards are purchased from our money through those facilities. And then at that point, they also throw in extra things.
Okay.
So those are items for especially the older kids.
Okay. And what if they want to write a check? Do they make it out for Toys for Tots or to Wesner?
They make it out to Westner's.
Okay.
And I account for everything
Okay.
as far as the money in that
Okay,
goes,
great.
or cash, either way. And you'd be surprised at Deborah's publishing over the past few years, where some of the donated money actually comes from. And a lot of it is not within the community. It's from outside.
Thank you
So
very
we've had
much.
good
We
PR.
really appreciate it, and let's give her that round of applause. You
It's
try
been
to give
fun.
her. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. I see directly at the school the effects of programs like that, and words can't express how wonderful that is. Thank you. Okay, anyone else? All right, with that, we're going to close public comments. We're going to move on to item number 5, the consent calendar. I need a motion to approve.
Also move.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Can I ask a question first?
Yes.
Sure.
Before we vote on it?
Yes.
$1,046, I wanted to explain that a little bit better.
Oh, yeah, go right ahead.
That's ADA, which I've been pointed out that law was passed in 1973, but everything that is ADA gets doubled or tripled. And it's probably, I haven't seen the picnic table myself, but I'm imagining it's probably a board that sticks out 3 foot past the picnic table, which is a prime suspect for any kid to crawl on. And his mom and dad had to pay $1,050 for a picnic table. And I hope the next one we can put a leg in the middle of it so that some other kid doesn't, or some other kid's mom and dad doesn't have to pay $1,050 for a picnic table. With that, I'm done.
Okay, can we have a vote to approve the consent calendar, please? Roll call?
Hess,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Bianski,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Turney,
Yes.
unanimous, Your Honor.
Thank you. And with that, we're on item number 6, reports by departments, committees, and boards. The Buchanan Youth Softball Baseball Association, Chris Kudemeyer could not come here this evening, so we're going to move on to item B. We're going to hear from U.S. Congress.
Your Honor, may I make a
Yes.
comment? Are they going to ever come to one of the meetings? Because I have several questions to ask.
And they
the
never
soft-
show up.
Yes, I
Right.
They
know.
never show up.
I know.
I need to, are they going to show?
Commissioner, what we have right now is that they plan to be at the BARB meeting on Wednesday to give their report, which we hope will be also offered at a commission meeting. So,
I don't want to hope. I want them to show up.
Yeah, because,
I mean, I want them to show up. $66,000. I want them here. I want them here.
I mean, their first report, I mean, I have several questions, how the money comes in, how it goes out. Their second report was for people who are 20 years old. I can't hardly read it, and it doesn't explain. I'm not trying to be an auditor. I'm just want questions.
I totally understand, and just to make it clear that BYSBA is not a, Commissioner, go ahead.
Pat?
If you have specific questions you would like to make for the record, I'd be happy to, if he does show up, because we have not seen him at any of the BARB meetings at all, so if he does show up, I can certainly ask those questions on Wednesday, but I mean,
There's
your
several-
guess is as good as mine.
There's several.
I have several, write them down, I'd be happy to convey them and
I
try to
can-
get an answer for you.
I can give this to
But I have
Gladys.
probably the same questions you have.
So why are we dealing with him? That's what my question is. Why are we dealing with him? I mean, is this a separate entity, Gladys? Is this something that we can't deal with as a commission?
The BYSBA is their own entity. We allow them to use public property to conduct their organization, which is beneficial. It has a lot of kids, local kids participate. And with that, it would be considerate of them to approve or appear and provide us some oversight information into their operation, so.
So the
I mean,
next time they want money,
Well, we don't provide them with any funding.
we gave them property though.
No, we grant them the use of public property to run their organization, their efforts, which has direct benefit to nearly 400 local youth in the baseball and the softball youth program. So it's been a very good organization. We're just troubled in the fact that trying to pin them down to come and explain their past season and what they were able to accomplish or not accomplish. So we're still waiting.
So is there any recourse we have at all?
Oh, absolutely. We can deny them use of public property.
Well, yeah, and then everybody's gonna be screaming because we screwed their kids.
No,
You know, I mean, that's how it goes, isn't it? I mean, there's no other way of putting it. It's the adults we're dealing with, it's not the kids we're dealing with.
The 2018 season is definitely sometime in the distance, so we do have some time to compel them to appear to give a report, and that's all we've asked. Give a report, provide us with, what they were able to accomplish, what good they have done for the community, and their operation on public property, which the commission controls.
Yes, Pat?
Well, what we could also do, if anyone has written questions, and if they don't show up, we can send those written questions to this individual in a form of a letter and ask for a response by a certain date. And then that way, because he did provide a report, but we have questions based on that report that we received. So it isn't that we're not getting information, but we just want to communicate and actually have an exchange of
Just want to know where the money's
comments.
going.
So if he doesn't show up, we will be happy to, put that in a letter from the bar to ask for written responses to your questions. So just go ahead and hand them to me and anytime tonight.
Just make sure you send it registered.
Pass it down to Commissioner Moore, please.
All righty. Thank you, Commissioner Moore, Commissioner Turney. Anything else about that? We all set? All right, then we're going to move on to item B, U.S. Congress candidate of Southwest Michigan, Rick Eichholz. Sorry.
Oops.
Yeah, you can adjust that. Take your time.
Thanks, Mayor Hess, and thanks to Dale for inviting me and for Bill for scheduling it for me. Anyway, is it okay if I address them now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm Rich Eichholz. I'm running for Congress from this district here in Southwest Michigan. I'm a scientist with 30 years of healthcare and innovation business experience. And as a scientist, one of the things that I will be trying to do is restore some kind of fact-based thinking in Washington. Now, I'm going to share with you one fact just right now, and that is that in the time that Fred Upton has been our congressman here, our economy in Southwest Michigan has gone from about a 2% annual growth record down to 0%, literally 0%. Now, in that time, he has also been, not the whole time, but for over 6 years, he was also chairman of the Energy and Commerce Committee. And in his tenure there, he did next to nothing to advance our economy towards a clean, renewable-based economy. Instead, he doubled down on fossil fuels, which, by the way, don't really need much help at all. Meanwhile, China has been driving ahead and leaving us behind in terms of developing a 21st century economy. One key to getting our economy moving again is to make sure that we have a healthy, educated, well-trained workforce. Now, so we need to make sure that everyone gets the health care they need, that everyone gets the education they need, and that everyone gets the training they need. In particular, and Dale, I know this is something dear to your heart, we need to really finally get to the point where we have universal health care. However that's accomplished, maybe it's going to be by expanding innovative self-pay methods, like something called direct primary care. And if you want, I can explain what that is to you afterwards. Or expanding commercial insurance, or expanding government insurance. The point is that it matters less what the exact method is, and more that we actually have universal health care. I'll just wrap up with one more fact. Okay, it's not actually a fact, but I'm pretty sure everybody's going to agree on it. And that is the one thing that Washington's really good at is creating problems. And the one thing that you can count on scientists to do is to solve problems. So what I'd like everyone to agree on is that we should send a scientist to Washington, one who has a deep understanding of the economy, as well as a deep understanding of human needs. Thank you.
Thank you for
Thanks
coming.
for coming out, Rich.
Will you be available afterwards if people want to talk to you? Okay, hey, thanks.
Is Mr. Upton still running?
As far as I know.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, it brings us to item 7, unfinished business. We're going to consider ordinance 2017.11, amending the City of Buchanan zoning ordinance, Article 3, definitions and use of terms, Article 10, C2 Commercial District, Article 11, C3 Central Business District, Article 12, Light Industrial District, Article 13, 1, 2, Heavy Industrial District, Article 18, Special Provisions, Article 23, Non-Conforming Uses, Buildings and Lots, Article 17, General Provisions.
Mayor, I would like to turn it over to Deb Patzer, who is well briefed on all the different options you've mentioned tonight.
Thank you, Deb.
Evening. Just a microphone. Just briefly, what has happened is, since we've been working on medical marijuana, we've had workshops, we've talked about language, and the Planning Commission did take the step we worked on an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance to allow medical marijuana facilities. There was a recommendation from the Planning Commission. The language was forwarded to you for your approval. And between that time, there were several changes that were proposed. One change I proposed after talking to Lara, the licensing and regulatory, what's the other A?
Regulatory agency.
Thank you. Because one of the biggest questions that we've had is sort of who's on first when it comes to medical marijuana permitting, licensing, applications, and so on and so forth. They told me that they are looking toward local communities who have opted in to do everything they can at the local level to facilitate medical marijuana permit applications in the city of Buchanan. We have opted to allow medical marijuana facilities as a special use, which means we need to get people who are interested in front of the Planning Commission as quickly as possible. So based on my conversation with them, there was a language change, which the Planning Commission discussed and ultimately did make a recommendation. We also had several changes proposed by Commissioner Viancy. And I can go through those one by one for clarification, and that's what I would like to do at this time. I don't know if you want to move to approve each one or not, or how you would like to proceed.
Pat?
Just to start the conversation, I'll make a motion that we approve the ordinance as recommended by the Planning Commission.
I'll support.
I knew it was gonna go that way. I want discussion. I want discussion before we
Yes,
even
we
vote.
can have,
going to.
we're going to have discussion right now. All right.
Yes.
Carl, support.
Okay.
Okay. What I'm going to do is you have your ordinance on my copy says 21710, but it's the ordinance that Gladys had prepared for you for signature. And what I would like to do is just go through that with the changes in the order that they occur in the document. That's the easiest way to do it. The first change that was proposed is on page
4.
3, yeah, 4 of 7. I'm trying to juggle the two ordinances together, so I want to make sure I'm correct here.
I get them both.
Actually, it's on page 3 of 7. The first change is on page 3 of 7, and that was the addition of language allowing medical marijuana for visiting centers as a special use in the C3 district. Okay, that was a change that was proposed by Commissioner Viancy and was included in draft 5 with changes. That was the first change.
Didn't we already publish this? Didn't we put this in a newspaper out for public? And didn't we already have
We had public hearings on
a
that.
public hearing, right? So we've already.
That was open and
We've
closed.
already gone through all what we're doing right now. So who asked you to do all this step by step, Deborah?
Well, we, the city manager and I, because we've had a number of proposed changes that haven't been approved by you ultimately as a city commission. The planning commission also revisited the ordinance.
But it was published on approval. We approved it to publish it.
No,
No,
We didn't approve it to publish it?
no.
no. You had a public hearing, and so that was a presentation, introduction of that language. Your role tonight is to discuss each of these items and, as a commission, approve that additional optional language.
How many times do we need to discuss this?
Well, we'd like to have the discussion tonight and then have action taken. That's
But why do we have to go through it step by
We've had,
step?
Go ahead, Pat.
Okay, where we're at, we had the two-part public hearing on this. We had the commission, the planning commission work output with the changes that they accepted. But they did not accept all of the changes that were proposed by some people here. So
Just say
how?
me.
So what the process is, that I made the motion to base the planning commission. If you want to make amendments to that, she's going to bring up each of those amendments that you brought forward, and that will be the opportunity we have to vote. We have not voted on any of those changes you proposed. They were rejected by the planning commission, and now's your chance to, we have not discussed this before. We have not, and we have not approved them. So,
I don't know what you're saying. I'm sorry, I'm fairly intelligent.
okay.
But the thing about it is I don't understand anything that's being said here at all. And I'm sure nobody out here understands what's going on. Because there was never no ordinance.
Cindy does.
There was never, well, good for you, Cindy. I'm glad, I really am glad. And I might take a chance
Your
to
Honor?
understand what you're doing.
Hang on a second. I'm going to acknowledge Dale.
So we're not even discussing.
Commissioner Dan, what Pat is trying to say is, when the changes were put in this particular document, it was then sent over to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission basically said no to these two changes, but
They didn't
yes,
say no. Did they vote no?
yes, they voted against that, if I believe right. I was on there, okay? I'm on the Planning Commission.
But
They
we were
didn't-
told we didn't have to take the recommendation, weren't we?
This is the night you decide whether you're going to take their recommendation or not.
Right.
So we voted
This is the
to,
night-
number one, take the recommendation, but now you can make your amendment, and each of those things can change that document.
Correct.
Does the lawyer understand this?
That's what we're just discussing.
We're discussing it.
So the motion on the floor was to approve
The
the
ordinance as,
provided by the planning commission.
correct.
Without changes.
Well, I mean, that was the motion. Now, there's a chance now for amendments.
Well, there's a motion.
I mean, we have not voted on any of those proposed
and
amendments.
This is the discussion going on right now.
Correct, on the amendments,
So-
which she has not even read, yet.
Okay, so your motion with the idea that we want to hear the amendments, have
Correct.
a discussion, and then,
We can vote
Then
on
we can
each of
vote,
those
each one.
amendments.
We already know how it's gonna go. I can guarantee you how it's gonna go. It's gonna go 4-1. I guarantee it.
I think what you're gonna have to do is withdraw your motion and amend it, and then for discussion on the ordinance, or the zoning ordinance that was provided by the planning commission, with discussion as to the changes as
optional changes.
as provided or just discussed
The optional changes.
last.
Because then we can go
commission
one by
meetings
one,
ago.
and you
Do
can
we
vote.
really need to go one by one? All we need to do is go over the ones that
Yes.
we've actually,
Yes, we need to go one by one
Just on the four.
for clarity.
Just the changes.
Just the four changes.
Just the changes.
Yeah.
The changes were not in
but we,
what was presented.
so just the 4
by
changes.
Just the four
Planning
changes,
Commission.
yes. We're not going over every piece
So
of the
we're not gonna start
ordinance.
over.
Thank you.
So my motion, just to be correct as far as the legality, basically, you want me to
Withdraw
add,
your previous motion and to make another motion to review the
Okay.
the zoning
So-
ordinance as provided by, approved by the planning commission, and to discuss the proposed changes in draft 5.
Correct.
That should,
so I don't think I need to rescind that original motion. I can make a second motion that we discuss the proposed changes to draft 5.
well, I think at the very least you should revise your motion then.
Okay, so I
have to
will
vote on this
agree
one.
to
Unless
revise.
it's withdrawn. I think you need, I think you
Yeah,
need to
you-
withdraw it.
There's a motion on the
If you don't
floor.
withdraw it, you're gonna have to vote on it.
No,
As it
you
is.
can make you can make amendments to that.
The lawyer's
But you're
telling
gonna
you to
start all
withdraw it.
over again.
If you withdraw your motion, and then you could make it immediate.
Then we're gonna have to go paragraph by paragraph on the whole
No.
Just
document.
the
No, we only need to do the four.
4 optional languages.
Okay,
So-
motion withdrawn. I know you have to ask Carla if she withdraws
And I
it.
will withdraw my motion or vote.
Second. Yeah, he can make the motion.
No.
I know I'm being facetious, okay. Okay, then I will make the motion that we ensue a discussion of the proposed changes to the ordinance one by one and have a vote on each item, each of the changes separately.
You okay with it, Gladys?
Can we even do that?
That's what he's telling me, we have to
That's
do
not
it
what
that
he
way.
told you at all.
The motion would be to approve the ordinance as presented and then hold discussion.
No,
Hear
no,
hear
no.
each of the changes and vote on each, you're gonna have incidental motions. The main motion, your main motion is going to be whether you hear this ordinance or whether you hear the planning commission ordinance. And we already withdrew the planning commission ordinance because it didn't have the changes in it.
Well, if you're saying, what you're saying is correct, then there's no way to pick and choose of
Yes, there
those changes. Because you're saying you have two different documents. One has the plan commission output, and the second with the changes intact.
No, through parliamentary procedure, you're going to have a main motion that brings the business before the assembly, which is yourselves.
Correct, well, that's what I attempted to do with making the motion to approve the planning commission work output.
But then you couldn't discuss the changes because
Why
they're
not? Once the motion
not
is on the
that.
floor, you can discuss it. And there can be amendments to that motion.
Then I think you're going to have to start over.
I think we need to, the motion has to, the public hearing, presentation of the optional language was all done during the public hearing. It's closed. That's what you have in your packets. You have the amendment that includes the optional language. We need a motion to approve that, seconded. We get into discussion, and then we go line by line. And that's where you have the discussion to.
So
either
you're
approve that
suggesting
or-
we make a motion to approve those changes?
No. You make a motion to discuss this ordinance. You're making a
No,
motion.
we don't need a motion to discuss the ordinance. It is up for discussion right now.
So we need.
No,
we need-
actually, it's not, because there hasn't been a motion.
It's on the agenda.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's on the agenda or not. You need a motion and a second in order to discuss anything. We usually do things backwards, and it's just because it's been done that way
Okay.
the whole time.
So Pat has pulled back her original motion. Okay.
Correct.
We have the optional language in the draft that you have before you, okay? We need a motion to approve that, a second. We get into discussion, and Deb will go option by option with a incidental motion of each of those by the commission. After you discuss it, you have an incidental motion to
Well,
approve.
I can't be the maker of the motion that you're suggesting since I do not approve of those changes.
I can make that motion.
Well,
I'll make the motion that we discuss
that was
this
one way to
amendment.
get to those options.
Okay. He's willing to.
I'll make the motion that we discuss this ordinance. But, it's not line by line, it's only the four from the
Correct.
original, correct?
The optional
Yes.
language.
We don't have to go grower.
No.
We've discussed
No.
this
No.
1,001
Yes,
times.
We do not need to do that.
No, just
So
the
we
four.
only have to
Okay.
discuss the four changes.
Yes.
I make the motion that we discuss the four changes.
I'll support.
Okay,
Thank you.
Hallelujah.
Now we're in discussion.
all right.
So,
Do we need a roll call on that, or we don't?
Protocol eventually bites you in the
Not
butt.
yet.
Okay,
That's the main motion.
all right. So, Deb, would you take it away? We would like to hear about the first one, which is on page 37, Article 11, C3 Central Business District. Can you please review what has been done about that?
Yes.
And can you make it very clear what the Plan Commission sent and what has been changed?
Okay, I will do my
That
best.
would be helpful to all of us.
All right. The Planning Commission version of this ordinance did not contain any language allowing as a special use a provisioning center in the C3 district. The Planning Commission version did contain the language on, bear with me. I think it's on page 3 of 7. To allow as a special use provisioning centers in the C2 commercial district. So the language also allowing provisioning centers in the C3 commercial district was a change that was added at the request of Commissioner Viancy. That is the first change.
Why didn't they want it in C2? Do we need to ask permission to ask questions?
No, C3, they didn't want it in C3, that C2 was okay.
C2 is okay, Dan.
C2's okay, C3, we're right here.
Okay, why didn't they want it in C3?
The discussion that they had at their meeting was that they felt, because of accessibility issues, having the reliance on public parking facilities rather than parking, for example, like you would have at a drugstore or a doctor's office, that it would not be as accessible or convenient for the people who are getting their medicine.
And that's the only thing they really dwelled on. And
That-
isn't that what you took to them?
Yeah, that was.
There would be a parking issue downtown? Isn't that what you presented to the planning committee?
That's what we
So you kind of
discussed.
subliminally planted that seed, correct? Isn't that the first thing that come up? No C3? Because it came out of City Hall, no C3. So I know it went to you, and I know it went to them.
No, if I may, Commissioner, I believe because I'm on the planning commission.
Right, I know.
It was brought up by a couple of the other commissioners, that was their issue was the parking and the access mobility for the people. That was their contention.
There was 1,500 people working at Clark's. There was buildings, Sexton's building had a building on the corner down there across from the old police department. There was people and businesses in every building downtown. How many businesses are operating right now? There was plenty of parking for the last 150 years. But the planning committee didn't want to listen to me with their rules and regulations, and it did come out of City Hall. It did come out of City Hall. Whether it was her or him, it came out of City Hall, no downtown for whatever reason. And that, I want to make that perfectly clear. I want to be on record. And he was the only one that really said, let me finish, please. He was the only one that really said initially, and when we came to that meeting, I didn't come to the first one, I came to the second one. I didn't even really get recognized, and I got asked what was my hurry. And now it's November. We were done with this in March. In March, people, we were done with this. And we waited 7 months to get here, and we're still not done. And the deadline is December the 15th for state applications. So this is your politics at work real hard.
Okay. Pat? Pat?
Basically, the planning commission did not want this Article 11 in there. So this is their work product. They did not want this in the central business district. So it came from the planning commission, which is our process that we have to go through. I don't see that it's useful or to accuse people of putting thoughts into the commissioners' heads. They spent many hours working on this. So I don't think that's a valid point of contention as far as like someone playing politics. They went through just the same due diligence that we've done. They did not want this down in the downtown area. And I just would like to support their contention.
Okay, Commissioner Dale?
To my fellow commissioners, I mean, I'm on the planning commission, and I spent a lot of time. We've had a lot of meetings over there, too. The C2 district is already okay. I understand there's a lot of people here in the town that are fearful, but it's really not. What they're thinking of their fear is, in my opinion, is not right. But let's start small. I think if we get the businesses that are already thinking of coming to Buchanan, you will see that your fear was not correct. I still am in favor of at least having one downtown, but I understand a lot of people have fearful issues of having a dispensary in a downtown area. Personally, I don't see it. However, my thing of it is once you see what happens to the other businesses that once they establish themselves and how they bring businesses to the area, I think you understand that in the future that this would be a very prosperous moment for Buchanan. That's why, I'm for one in downtown, not more than one, but I understand your issues. But I would like to see what these other businesses are going to do and give them a chance. I understand your problems in the C3. So that's why I say at this time, I would be against that, only because I think Buchanan has to take baby steps to show the good character of the people that are coming in the C2.
Okay. Is there any more discussion from the commission? Carla, you haven't had a chance to speak. Do you have anything you'd like to ask or add? Okay, anyone else? Okay, I'm going to need an incidental motion to remove or keep this C3, this part of Article 11, the C3 Central Business District, Section 11.03, uses permitted by special use permit. A medical marijuana provisioning center is authorized by the City of Buchanan, Ordinance 2017-404.
Who's going to make the motion? Pat?
Gonna need a motion to either remove it or keep it.
I'll
Need
make
to-
the motion to keep it.
Okay. Do I have a second? I'll second that.
Okay.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Call? Yes. Hess?
Yes.
Mar?
No.
Turney?
You want to keep that, is that what you're saying?
Yep.
You want to keep the, as it is?
Mhm. We're keeping it, we're saying yes to C3.
In other words, approving that change.
Yes, we're approving this language, approving this change.
Yes.
Bianski?
Yes.
Passed by majority, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to article on page 4B. That would be,
So now, wait. Did we just approve this thing?
yes, we approved that one point. We
We haven't
approved that,
approved this thing.
yes.
No.
I didn't think we had. We approved that one paragraph.
One
Yes,
paragraph.
yes, and then
One
we're gonna
section.
go back, once we get this all patched together, we're gonna go back and approve it with
Okay.
amendments.
All right.
All right, now we're gonna go on to Article, let's see, 18, Special Provisions Including Home Occupation, Section 18.10, Medical Marijuana Facilities, All Types, and we are on item B. No medical marijuana grower, processor, provisioning center, safety compliance facility, or secure transporter shall be located within 500 feet of real property comprising of a church. Deborah is going to explain what that looked like when it left the Planning Commission. This is a change, a potential change.
When this left the Planning Commission, after church, instead of a period, there was another clause, and the language read, "or a public park with activities designated specifically for youth." And again, the deletion of that text was proposed by Commissioner Viganski.
Okay, discussion? Yes, Commissioner Moore?
So you're saying that language was deleted at the suggestion of Commissioner Viganski?
That's correct.
As it reads now, it says, "No medical marijuana grower, processor, provisioning center, safety compliance facility, or secure transporter shall be located within 500 feet of real property comprising of a church." That's what we're voting on to keep. And previously, the Plan Commission had language saying within 500 feet of a park with activities for youth.
Designed specifically for youth.
Designed specifically for youth.
That's correct.
Questions, comments? Dale, you want to speak to what the Plan Commission was thinking?
Well, I was technically not with the planning commission.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
That particular one?
yeah.
All right.
I'll make a motion
Okay, go right ahead.
that we keep the language as is,
Stated here.
stated here, the new language in the ordinance.
Okay, I need a second.
I'll support.
Okay, roll call, please.
Moore?
No.
Turney?
No.
Hess?
No.
Bianski?
Yes.
Call?
No.
Motion fails, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, then we're going to move on to the same section, Article 18. Sorry, Commissioner Moore?
I just wanted to clarify now that because we have rejected that change, the language that will be in the ordinance is the language that was approved by the Planning Commission.
Yes, it will revert back to the language from
Okay,
the
I'm
Plan
trying
Commission.
to keep you on tag.
I think it's, so what it is so for when the vote comes, so for consideration, you are adding back in.
Right.
For a public park with activities designated.
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay, right. So I want to make sure we all,
For approval when you make the vote.
Yes,
On the main motion.
so,
yes. Okay, are we clear on that?
yes,
Pat,
I
did
just
that-
wanted to make
okay.
sure that was
Yes.
well understood by
Right.
everyone here.
Yes, this is all new. In case you're wondering, this is all very new to us. Okay, we are moving on to section 1810, medical marijuana facilities, all types. We are now on item C. In the consideration of granting a special use permit, the setback from residential districts shall be evaluated as it relates to the surrounding areas. Deb, can you explain what that looked like before it was changed, what the planning commission had originally intended?
Okay. In this item, there's only a one-word change here. The language proposed by the Planning Commission said in the consideration of granting a special use permit, the setback from residential uses shall be evaluated as it relates to the surrounding areas. The word uses was deleted and districts was proposed. And again, Commissioner Viancy and I actually did have a discussion about that. It did go back to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission spent a lot of time trying to determine how, in fact, they should deal with residential areas or uses because they felt that proximity to residential areas should be considered. So they had put the language residential uses. It was changed, that word uses was changed to district because we felt that medical marijuana, we didn't want to see it in close proximity to neighborhoods. If we were going to consider medical marijuana facilities in commercial areas, areas that are zoned commercial, those districts do have residential use in them. So we felt that changing the word uses to districts would still allow consideration of medical marijuana facilities in neighborhoods without addressing necessarily the fact that we have residential use in commercial districts. So the change there is just one word, from residential uses, changing it to districts, or keeping it to uses.
Okay, discussion?
Been
Anyone
a
have?
lot of discussion. in
Just
past
one word.
meetings, right?
All right, well, I need a motion.
Pat's got a question.
Oh, Pat, sorry.
I'll make the motion that we exchange the word districts for uses.
Pat, may I ask a
Yes,
question?
go right ahead.
What was that motion again? You say you change it from,
Right now, if you're going by this that we had in our packets, it says districts, exchange the word
no, they're
uses.
they're deleting uses, aren't they? And then we're changing it to districts.
I don't want the change
Oh, you don't
to
want the change.
district.
Okay.
I'm
I'm
trying
sorry.
to
That's what I'm
give
trying
the
to figure out.
original planning commission
Oh, okay, I got you.
language back.
I got you.
So, right now, we're working from this document
My-
that we were given.
Just clarification.
Okay, all right.
I'll support.
Okay, roll call? Sorry.
Tarney?
No.
Bianski?
No.
Call? I'm going to say no. Hess?
No.
Moore?
Yes.
So I'll make the motion that we keep the language as districts.
I'll second.
Okay.
Did we just
Oh,
do
we
that?
just did that. We just did
That's
that.
right.
We're good.
Okay, we're good.
You're all set.
Screwed up.
For
All
one
right.
word.
And our last item that we're going to be looking at is again under Article 18, Special Provisions Including Home Occupations, Section 1810, Medical Marijuana Facilities, all types. We are on item E. It says, all special use approvals for medical marijuana facilities are contingent upon the approval of the medical marijuana facilities applications by the City of Buchanan and the State of Michigan. And I'm going to have Deborah explain this. This is a change that came to us by way of the Licensing and Regulatory Affairs Board. This is from a change from the state level that we as a city are going to consider.
This was, as I explained before, trying sort of to determine who's first. The original language that the Planning Commission had was to require, before you could apply for a special use permit, you had to have your state license application and also the City of Buchanan permit application either approved or in process. And the statutory requirement of the Act, PA 2, what is it? I thought it would never go out of my head. I've read it so many times. 281 does not require, it doesn't really say who goes first. So in trying to solve this for all of us, I had a conversation with Lara, and I was told that in order for applications from Buchanan to be ranked high, they are encouraging not only Buchanan, but all of the local municipalities who have opted in to take care of their business locally, and that the applications that were received from communities who in fact had dealt with, for an example, special use, would be ranked higher. So I did, in fact, the Planning Commission, we did discuss this, and actually the language that Brenda just read to you was discussed by the Planning Commission, and they approved that language because they wanted to ensure that since they were going first in effect, if they granted a special use, that special use be contingent upon getting approval from the city and the state. So we're basically still requiring all of the approvals to be granted for a special use to be approved in Buchanan, but we are saying, we'll go ahead, start the special use process when we're able, but you still have to get the other approvals that you need. That's what this language says. And the Planning Commission was okay with that.
Okay, so, any discussion about that?
No, basically, what the planning commission was saying is they just want to make sure that the state was in line with us.
Right. Any questions, other comments? Yes, Commissioner Moore?
Since that was an output of the planning commission, I'm not sure why you're bringing that up as a change.
Well, it was
It wasn't included in the
Change from
first
the
one.
the original ordinance had 2 paragraphs.
Right.
Okay, so those were,
Draft 5, yes,
yeah.
I know what you're talking about, but.
I want to bring
okay.
it up for clarity.
Okay.
So that
All
we
right.
know how we got there.
Yeah, I have no objection to this. E.
Okay.
I need a
That's
motion.
all.
I need an incidental motion
I'll make that motion.
that we,
I'll second it.
okay? Roll call, please.
That's to keep that language?
Yes, as it's stated right here in this draft.
Okay. Moore?
Yes.
Hess?
Yes.
Cole? Yes. Bianski?
Just to be belligerent, no.
Carney?
I'm serious.
Carney?
Yes.
Passed by majority, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Now, we're going to need a motion to
Thank you.
approve this ordinance with amendments, correct?
I think you already have that motion.
gonna-
Okay.
You just need a vote.
You're going to need a vote on
Okay.
that.
All right.
Okay.
But I think you're going to have an amendment with that, is that?
No, because you told us the main motion was,
With the incidentals.
that were voted on.
With the incidental amendments. Okay?
Right.
All right.
But we
because-
changed one.
But because the second,
Right, we inserted the
because
500
this-
foot back in there, so it's different than what this document is.
because it failed,
Exactly. So this document is pretty much as useless as it was originally before we walked in here tonight. Because we have to change it back.
no, we need to.
No, we don't.
No.
No,
No.
attorney,
we don't.
No, we don't.
no.
You made incidental motions for each of the proposed amendments for consideration when you made those votes on each of those changes for consideration on voting upon each of these sections, right? So now it's time to make a vote, make a motion to
Approve.
Approve this ordinance with changes.
three, 10, C2 Commercial District as provided. Make a motion to approve Article 11, C3 as provided, correct? And then you go and then down the line.
So what happened to the original main motion? Then that is no good?
You made a motion to review
Okay.
with the changes. What was the motion that was made?
The motion was made to discuss the ordinance as presented.
Correct.
With the,
And then we made,
And then you had incidentals to approve.
then we made the incidentals, so we
Right, so
should
now we just
approve
go in-
this ordinance with the incidentals.
Right, just make-
Correct.
correct.
So we have to change B. We have to make it, is that right? Do you agree with me on that, Pat? We have to amend
4B.
don't we?
I don't,
I think
4B.
we already
Well,
have.
he's saying we have
We
to
already
take
did
each
that.
article separately, which I don't think that's the way it was.
No.
We just did it. We've already approved all those items or
But
disproved
4B
them.
was
No, we haven't
rejected.
really discussed the whole product. you
Oh,
know,
the
as
whole
changed.
product year, okay.
That's what we're trying to come
Not
to, is
4B.
what
Gotcha.
is the main motion back, that is really based on the discussion after that.
We should make one motion to make all the corrections as what's done.
Well, what the motion could be to approve this document, including those incidental motions that were
There you go.
in the affirmative.
That's
affirmatory,
I'll
support that.
you know. I'm not making a vote. Trust me, I'm voting no on this whole document. So, just so you know.
Well, I'll make the
Someone else
motion-
can make a
I'll
motion.
make the motion that we approve this ordinance minus or with the changes of Article B in Section 1810 to 500 foot of real property comprising of a church or any little kiddies out there that might get influenced by the downfalls of marijuana.
That is not the language that we voted on.
I know.
That motion was rejected. Your Honor, can I? I'll
Yes,
try.
yes,
I'll
okay,
try.
let's all, thank you
Okay.
Gladys. Let's try to
Page-
make this less,
Page 4 of 7,
Mm-hmm.
Article 18, Section 1810, B, 1B. Somehow somebody said 4B, but it's not 4B, it's 1B. No medical marijuana grower, processor, provisioning center, safety compliance facility, or secure transporter shall be located within 500 feet of a real property comprising a church. That was an incidental motion.
No.
and we added. and
That
we-
was an incidental motion by Commissioner Viganski, seconded by Commissioner Cole. When the vote was taken, Hess was no, Moore was no, Torney was no, Cole was no, Viancy was yes. So that motion failed.
So it reverts back to the language
So
from the
it
plan
reverts
commercial.
back, and
Plan
that's what
commission.
Attorney Rock said earlier in the meeting, is that we would have, before we vote on the main motion, we would need to include that planning commission language for item B to go in there. Otherwise, you're going to have nothing in there.
Okay, so we
Your
we
Honor.
need a
There will not
motion
be
to
an
add
article.
that.
You want me, okay.
Yes, go right ahead, Dale.
I'll make the motion for section 18.10, medical marijuana facilities, all types. Item B, no medical marijuana grower, processor, processing center, safety compliance facility, or security transporter shall be located within 500 feet of real property comprising of a church or a public park with activities designed specifically for youth.
Second.
Correct. You seconded that, Commissioner Moore, thank you.
Okay, roll call, please.
Bianski?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes.
Hess?
Yes.
Attorney?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Motion car-
right?
Yes.
Is the common a park?
Public park, I said.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Now,
Common's
now
not
you
a
need to
park.
vote on the main motion. That would be accepting this document
With amendments.
or
With
denying,
incident.
correct, or denying this.
All right, somebody needs to make a motion to.
I'll
No,
give-
we already have a motion.
We already have a motion,
right.
Gladys?
Perfect.
Okay.
Yes, our main,
to take roll call?
our main motion was made by Commissioner Vaganski, seconded by Commissioner Cole.
And this is to accept the corrections as done. Is that correct?
As amended.
As amended.
All right, roll call,
Okay.
please.
Wait, Your Honor,
Oh, yes.
this is more than just accepting the corrections. You're accepting the entire ordinance as amended.
Correct.
As
And I'm just
amended.
With
Wanting
amendments.
to make sure that
Yes.
we're all clear on that.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Yes.
I think that's good.
Moore?
No.
Tony?
Yes.
Hess?
Yes.
Bianski?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes.
Passed by majority, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, now moving on to new business, item 8. We're on letter A. Consider and accept or reject the deed to parcel number 1158-0026001-00-0 from the County of Berrien. Bill, would you like to fill us in on this, please?
Mayor and Commissioners, in your packets, you saw a map of a very small, narrow strip of property that separates West Winds Apartments from Ottawa Ridge. It's, I think, 30-foot wide by several hundred feet long. It's a property that reverted to the County of Berrien for, on a tax foreclosure. They have asked the city if they would accept the deed to that property. And our option is to accept it or reject it. It's a very thin, unusable parcel of property to general public use. It would be something of benefit to us sometime in the future if we ever wanted to put a walkway easement to access the township property to the west of that, to our city limits. It connects to a parcel of property the city already owns that is part of Ottawa Ridge area and is adjacent to Ottawa School, and it does have frontage on Ottawa Street. So I'm recommending that we accept the deed from the County of Berrien to hold as additional property for the city for some future use.
Okay. Dan?
Bank tried to give us this, and we voted on this, didn't we, Dale? Quite a while ago.
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I don't remember in
We
there.
did. The bank tried to give it to us before the county got it. Wasn't this the same strip of property?
I
Right
don't
behind
know.
West
No,
Winds?
I don't
that
think
was,
so. I live right behind her, Dan. I don't know.
I don't remember bringing this strip to your attention before. It's been in limbo in the county process for years, 3 to 4 or 5 years. It's sat on their books without a home. They've asked the city to accept the deed.
It's no cost to
Nobody's
us.
paying taxes on it because the county owns it.
It's
So
no cost to us.
it is no cost to us.
I don't, Dan, I
What
don't,
strip of property did we talk about behind Ottawa? Bud was still on the committee at that time.
There was,
I can't remember.
Bud was commissioner. It was before Brenda.
I don't
And I was almost positive it was the same piece of
no,
property. and we
there's a
rejected it.
little larger parcel to the east of this narrow strip.
There is another parcel that the
That
bank owns?
we own, yeah. And-
Yeah.
So it's adjacent to that parcel then?
Yep, it's adjacent to that.
Okay, so then, thank you for clarifying that.
I'll make the motion that we accept the deed for parcel number 11-58-0026-0001-000 from the County of Berrien.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Cole?
Yes.
Hess,
Yes.
Bianski,
Yes.
Charney,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
unanimous, Your Honor.
All right, we're on to item B of new business. Consider City of Buchanan medical marijuana facility permit application form.
Mayor and Commissioners, in your packets also, you had a draft application form, something that we will need since you've approved a zoning amendment to medical marijuana. It's for the applicants to fill out, giving us the basic and required information to move review by the city forward. And you were asked to review this and come up with any additional questions you might have regarding it. Deb, do you want any comments? You might want to make any staff comments on this?
Your Honor?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Dale.
The only thing I could say, Bill, I mean, there's a lot of language here, and like in any new form or that goes out there, there's always something that in the future will probably have to be added. I mean, you just don't know until the actual application starts coming in, and then you say, well, we should have had that. I mean, we'll probably have to make amendments to this forms probably next year. That's my opinion. There's always something that sometimes it's not going to be covered, and then naturally when the forms are filled out.
To move us forward, yes, this,
I think-
this will be probably amended as Laura begins to come out with
That's
more
another thing.
information, yes.
The
I
state
agree.
might want to add some things to it.
Again, we had the benefit of reviewing other communities' applications. Their content mostly is included in our application, and so it's, from the best we can tell, this is the information that we're going to need to move forward.
Okay. Anybody
need a
got
motion?
questions, Dan
Nope,
or Dan?
Dan's got a question.
$5,000. Do we really spend that kind of money? And how much do we charge for a liquor license? How much is a state of Michigan liquor license? Starting here in here.
That's all handled, we don't get involved in that, it's all handled by the state. I know some licenses are upwards of $20,000.
So the city doesn't get anything for a liquor license?
No, we get very
The
little.
state gets it all?
What's that?
Up to, the state doesn't get it all?
Well, the state gets, we get a small residual.
The liquor license are sold.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a new liquor license, then
Yeah.
there's application fees, but if it's a transfer liquor license, it's sold on the open market for.
Yeah, it's like a piece of property.
Right, okay.
Pat?
According to that state law, we are eligible to charge $5,000 for the first year, up to $5,000. Then subsequent years, we have to review what the costs are to come up with that justification. But for all the people that have attended all these meetings, we have legal fees that we've been dealing with for many months. So I don't think we have any trouble justifying a $5,000 charge
I agree.
for several years,
Yep.
frankly.
The, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Dale.
The meetings that we went to up in Lawrence, Michigan, specified that it's all something that it's in the foreseeable future. You can make your adjustments, and you might find out that your cost will be higher. It's an unknown factor. They tried to give us as much information as to how we can charge the $5,000, but it's really an unknown factor at this time. I don't have all my paperwork from that meeting, but there was a lot of, I think Brenda, if you remember.
Okay.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pat?
And I just want to point out the Laura application process, they're charging between $4,000 to $8,000 per license. So,
Okay. All right, any other discussion? Okay, I need a motion?
Go ahead.
I'll make the motion that we go with this medical marijuana facility permit application.
Okay,
I'll second.
thank you. Roll call, please.
Moore,
Yes.
Hess,
Yes.
Bianski,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Attorney,
Yes.
unanimous, Your Honor.
Okay, we're on new business item C. Consider bid waiver in the amount of $7,679 and approve the purchase of 2 new copy machines for City Hall from Parrott Company through the receipt of quotes. And under that is I approve a budget amendment in the amount of $7,679 from the general fund. Bill, did you want to?
Mayor and Commissioners, when I started here in 2005, our copy machines were recently purchased, and they have worn out. Even our vendor, who's been coming to repair our copy machines, have said that they are down to searching for scrap parts to try to repair them. Again, we've used those machines quite a bit. Lots of publishing that goes on through City Hall. We use those machines a lot. Right now, we have, actually maybe some of your copies even display, we have a black line that's consistent in our copies. The repair people, vendors say they can't get it out without a prolonged search of a new roller for that model machine. Actually, we've been doing a lot of research. Mandy, as well as Gladys, has put in a lot of time in searching for vendors. We've had four quotes from different suppliers. We've used the state bid process, or excuse me, state purchasing process as our standard to go by. And a local company, Parrott Machines out of St. Joe, actually beat the state bid amount by almost $2,000. So I do have a question about what does the state bid do for us? But when a local company can beat them by $2,000. What we have in the staff's recommendation is that we recognize the machines provided by Parrott Business Machines out of St. Joe to replace the 2 copy machines that we have in the hall. One, the main one in the back that does some collating, has the ability to staple when we have multiple documents that we have to produce. It has scannability, it does do color. The smaller one up front is dependent, we're dependent on that to produce the water bills. Right now, that particular machine, for some reason, the ink, the water bills come out and they're susceptible to rain, moisture, and we're told from different suppliers that it's a characteristic of the machine, not necessarily the ink. The ink is waterproof, but somehow the machine, I don't know, a little more advanced than I want to get into. But anyway, the smaller machine and the larger machine from Parrott Business Machines is $7,679, which is in the process. We started out looking at and being quoted machines at the $12,000 level, and so with a little negotiating back and forth between different companies, we were able to get it down to a very reasonable price of $7,600 for the 2 machines. So I'm asking you to approve the purchase of the machines from Parrott Business Machines, as well as approve a amendment to the general fund, budget amendment to the general fund.
Commissioner Moore?
Do you need 2 motions then, or will one
I think
suffice?
one would
One will
suffice.
suffice?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make that motion that we approve the bid waiver in the amount of $7,679 and approve that purchase of the 2 copy machines for City Hall from Parrott Company.
Second.
And approve the budget amendment in that same amount from the general fund.
I'll second.
Okay,
Thank
roll
you.
call, please.
Bianski,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Hess,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Attorney,
Yes.
unanimous, Your Honor.
Okay, great. We're on new business item 8, letter D. Consider the purchase of HD 14 Arctic sectional plow in the amount of $7,300. And then item I, approve budget amendment in the amount of $7,300 from major streets and local street funds. Bill?
Mayor and Commissioners, to enhance and augment the new John Deere loader that you approved for purchase earlier this summer, we found real benefit in the old push box that we had with the old loader, which went with the sold item, the old loader. This new push box is what we need. This is an adjustable push box. I think in your briefing, you saw some pictures of its adjustability. It can raise and lower along curb edges to help gather the snow, make it easier to remove some of that congregated snow, that storaged snow along the roadway edge, and maneuver it to a parking lot out of primarily the downtown area. We'll be able to do this in other awkward streets that have narrow, low-capacity areas to stack snow. This push box also has a tripping mechanism that if we have a high manhole cover, a water valve cover, it won't hit and damage the manhole or the valve cover. It'll trip over it and not jar the operator and damage the equipment. This is a used piece of equipment. Again, the normal retail on this plow is almost $11,000. This is a piece of equipment that is used. It's been used at the Valparaiso University. It has, I believe, 2 years worth of use out of it, and it was seldom used. They had, I don't know, they had like 3 or 4 of these sitting there. So we were happy to find one that came available. We had been searching, and with snow around the corner, asking that you consider the purchase of this push box.
Okay, Pat?
I will be happy to make that motion that we approve the purchase of the HD 14 Arctic sectional plow in the amount of $7,300 and also approve the budget amendment in the amount of $7,300 from major streets and local street funds.
Will support.
Okay, roll call. Oh, wait, we have one question. Dan?
The DDA bought that box for the sidewalks. Is that something separate? Does that still work on this new front-end loader?
Could you say that again, Commissioner?
The box that the DDA bought for the city to do sidewalks, does that fit this front-end loader?
I don't think the DDA bought a box. We purchased a box, a push box for our loader over a year ago. Again, that was a used box we bought for the old loader, which we've sold. It was adapted and fit the old loader, so it went with that sale. We're looking for, and that box worked well, but it really caused us some problems because it didn't have the adjustability. It didn't have a trip mechanism because we'd hit valve boxes and we'd rip the covers off of them and or hit a high manhole, and we'd jar our operator pretty significantly. So I don't recall the DDA buying a box for us. It was bought, as this one is. It will greatly enhance snow removal downtown. The old box allowed us to push a lot of that snow into the parking lot near Gateway Foundation. We were able to stack some of the snow up there with this push box and remove some of the excess snow from downtown.
Didn't the DDA help with something for sidewalks? Or am I just,
For sidewalks.
We,
Might have helped with the push
well,
box,
we
but
have,
it wasn't for the sidewalks.
I can't remember if they contributed to the blower we have for the Bobcat. Right now, I can't recall.
I know we had a discussion.
I don't,
So we moved on to downtown, but I have to go look at the minutes, but I think there was a discussion at least.
okay, all right.
All right. Anybody else? Roll call, please.
Carney?
Yes.
Bianski?
Yes.
Hess?
Yes?
Moore? Yes.
Cole?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Thank you, and we're on new business, item E, appoint commission member to be the representative on the DDA board. I'm already a member, so we need one more person. Carla has turned in her resignation, so I will take volunteers. Don't everybody jump at once.
Well, as you can see, I
Already
have
on
another job to
several
go to
boards.
later tonight, so.
I'm already on several boards,
Yes.
so.
They don't like me on the DDA.
Well, that's okay. I could say something, but I won't. Come on, it'll be fun.
Oh, it ain't gonna be fun. I can guarantee it ain't gonna be
Hey,
fun.
All right.
Dan, I,
I've thought about this a lot, so I mean, I'm going to do it.
Excellent, thank you. All right.
Dan, I can be an alternate for you.
I move that we appoint Commissioner Viganski as a member to the representative on the DDA board from the city commission. I need a second.
Oh, second.
All right, roll call, please.
Cole?
Yes.
Hess?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Bianski?
Maybe. That's a yes. I'm sorry, Gladys.
Okay. Tardy?
Yes.
First Wednesday of every month.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Commissioner Dan. All right, we're up to public comments. Citizens are allowed up to 3 minutes to discuss any non-agenda item. It's non-agenda items only. Anyone have anything new? All right, thank you. City manager's comments. Bill?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be very, very brief, and I just wanted to recognize the American Legion for putting on another very successful Veterans Day event. They had a speaker, I believe his last name is Robinson, that spoke about his many years in captivity at Hanoi Hilton in Vietnam. Again, our Post 51 is very active in town. They are a major supporter of a lot of activities in the community, and I'd like to recognize them. Also, Bob Barnes, he's a resident of the city of Buchanan, lives over on Chippewa. He, for Veterans Day, he gives rather than receives, and that is really a good reflection on the character of the residents here we have. Bob presented meal tickets to city employees, police and fire, to enjoy a meal on him up at Hilltop Cafe. It was well received. Bob is a veteran, and he is elderly, and he is challenged with some health issues, and I'd like to recognize him for that effort. And again, Bob is one of those great citizens within the community that wants to give. So
Agree.
that's really that's all I have. Well,
I'll do it.
yes, Gladys would like to make a pitch on Turkey Day. Eh?
No, actually,
Oh.
I just want to confirm the ordinance that we passed this evening is ordinance number 405.
Thank you. Thank you.
And actually, yes, we are having. Yes, we are having the community Thanksgiving Day. The, excuse me, the group that has had it for 11 years at the senior center, we have partnered, excuse me, we have partnered with Hilltop Cafe. to have the free community Thanksgiving at the Hilltop. Last year, we did it at the at the senior center. We had over 32 shut-ins that we delivered to, and I believe it was like 128 people that we counted. They come in and out, so it's kind of difficult to get an exact count. Hilltop also had a free dinner, free holiday dinner. They also had over 100 people there. So instead of fighting each other for a place to go, we've decided to combine those efforts and have one great big one from 11 to 1 on Thanksgiving Day will be a traditional turkey dinner. We are taking calls for shut-ins. We're still going to do the delivery, even though it's at Hilltop, and we're taking donations of dessert that Hilltop won't be providing.
So you're gonna have it at Hilltop this year then?
So we'll be at Hilltop from 11 to 1.
And you said donations of desserts?
Yes.
Okay, what about cash or anything else, do you know?
They can do, we've set a bucket out every year.
Okay.
To do that at the senior center.
Okay.
I guess we haven't talked about, the group hasn't talked about accepting donations, but of cash, so.
Okay.
I guess that'll just be wait and see.
All right, okay, thank you. Anything else, Bill, from your manager's comments?
No, Mayor.
Okay, great. Let's go on to commissioners' comments. Let's start down on this end with Pat. Commissioner Moore?
I just wanted to also say thanks again to Mr. Bob Barnes for his service and also his generosity. I think he's a great person. It's very much appreciated to be thanked in such a generous way. And second, I just wanted to remind people of the memorial event tree program. I don't know if you are aware of that. Maybe some of you are, some of you aren't. But for a mere $150, you can select a tree from a photo album of several trees available to us. And you can have that tree placed somewhere in town, and it can be you can ask for preferences like a park, or you could have the tree put in, actually the first tree that I did with this program, I did it in honor of my 2 dogs, and I had them put it actually in my front yard. So as long as the city can get access to the property, they can plant the tree there. And it's done really well, and I just had 2 more trees put in different parts of the city. So I'm a firm believer this is a good way to, like, in a small way, to bring some of the trees back to the downtown. And also there's a registry at City Hall that the people that it's in remembrance of, or in case of my dogs, they're also listed in the City Hall registry. So it's a wonderful program. It's very reasonable. It just covers the cost of the tree, and the gentlemen that are doing the planting are very professional and very kind to do it. So I am a believer in that program. It's very positive, and I'd just like you all to consider that for any special event or memorial or whatever you'd like. And adds beauty to the city while commemorating that special event or a loved one. And I also want to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Thank you, Commissioner Moore. Commissioner Dan?
Thank you, Bill. It didn't really stay. I had to mess with it some more. My glasses broke just as I come down here. I thought I had a spare pair, but I gave them to the Lions. Go figure. I didn't. Mr. and Mrs. Hartline specifically, I was pretty upset when I seen that your dad was there, and I walked right by him, but thank him for breakfast. He was there when I was in there eating breakfast. And he was on Facebook once I got home, and I realized, dummy. But thank you very much. As far as the city, this is going to be growing. It's going to be new. It's going to be massive changes. It's going to be good. The one thing I did want to ask, though, I did want to ask the new contract for the video man. We never got to see it, so is there any chance of maybe seeing it at the next meeting? And,
Yes.
well, I won't even go into it with it being 9 o'clock, but I'll quit. But thank you, everybody.
Thanks. All right, Commissioner Cole?
I just want to wish everyone a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Please be careful out there. I also would like to thank Bob Barnes for our dinners. It's very generous on his part. I felt guilty sitting there and eating when I felt I should be paying for his dinner for all that he's done as serving in the service. He was there to protect us and to help us and help watch our borders. You know, and that's such a dangerous job to be out there and protecting us. So a great thank you to the young man for paying for our dinners.
Okay, Commissioner Dale?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things, couple questions. I know this has been brought up. I'm not trying to start any arguments or discussions tonight, but hopefully we'll get something in the future. I just wanted to know, how will the dog park pay the city back for that plot of land that the city bought? I'd like to know the details, how they're going to pay the city back. And I would like to know, when will the city put the land up for sale? So we can get some of that money back. I mean, that's city money, taxpayer money that went towards that land. So maybe we can discuss this at a future meeting. I would like to have those issues discussed, okay? And I would also like to thank Mr. Bob Barnes. Maybe the city should make some recognition. He's done this now for several years. I think that is an outstanding citizen, and that is just amazing how he's done that for everybody. I also like to thank Beth Chubb, who did an outstanding job with the summer concerts. She did an excellent report. I don't know if you also know this, but Beth Chubb is also part of the Farmers Market, which I am also on that committee. Beth also donated money to the summer concerts. I think a lot of people here enjoyed that. She does an outstanding job, and hopefully she stays on for a few more years. I think that's all I got.
Thank you. And for my comments this evening, I wanted to hold up the certificate. The City of Buchanan received a certificate of appreciation from the Make a Difference Buchanan Day for our ongoing partnership and commitment to the Make a Difference Day Buchanan. It's signed by Barbara Pitcher, the committee. She's the committee chairperson, and Rob McPherson, the event project manager. So we got a nice little certificate from them. I'd also like to remind everybody that we're coming into the holiday season, and RAM is in need of some things. So if you have a paper and pencil, you want to write some of this stuff down. They need shampoo, they need dish soap, and then there's some other things. You can look at their Facebook page for a complete list. We really need to help them out. They're going to start giving away the coats. The days that they're giving away coats to city residents in need are posted on the door at RAM, and I'm sorry I didn't write that down. Another city business besides Toys for Tots at Wesner Automotive, I know Pure Rituals, the hair salon downtown, is collecting socks. So the next time you head to the store, if you could buy an extra package or a pair of socks to drop off down there, I know they'd really appreciate it. We're a very giving community, and I just thought everyone would want to know about those opportunities. And again, I would like to say thank you. This has been a very long process. It has been full of new challenges for us as a commission. I appreciate everyone's patience. I appreciate everyone's input. We're not all going to agree about a lot of things, but I know in my heart that we all agree that Buchanan is a really great place to live, and it will continue to be that place. So do not go away disappointed if things did not turn out your way today. You know, our policy regarding medical marijuana in Buchanan has been set up for frequent revisiting of places of business, and we aim to make this a very safe for patients as well as city residents. So thank you tonight for all your input and for all of you that have been coming and those of you that have emailed us. And we hope to see you at future meetings because we don't like to operate in a vacuum. We like to hear from you all. So with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
Also moved.
Okay, second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.